going on with the mouse?
Notes.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Every episode, his setup for notes gets more complex.
Too much clicking?
No, just...
Oh, yeah, it has gotten a little more complex.
Throw on the VR headset the next
I got
one.
a laptop now.
Nope.
Next episode, VR.
Took these notes in VR. Fuck you guys.
Like the fucking lifter in Aliens, just junk, ready to record.
But its feet are stamping out letters, and Greg's viewing this from a plane above.
Fuck it, we'll nuke it from orbit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way to be sure.
It is the only way to be sure.
I'm going to ask a classic question. Greg, what episode is this?
I think we're on episode 49.
That's correct.
Okay.
So wait, you knew the answer. This was a trick question.
I didn't for a second, and then I remembered like, oh, right, we're on the cusp of 50.
Yeah.
And that was like, it has to be 49.
That makes sense, yeah.
Sweet 50.
Lordy, look who's 50. Is there one of those things for 50? I know that there's one for 40. We talked about it when we hit 40.
They only want you when you're 50. When you're 51, you're no fun.
That's so true. It's also Ladytron.
Yeah, that's how the song goes, right?
Yeah, close enough. Yeah, so we now are more episodes than years I've been alive.
It's heavy.
It's heavy, yeah, when you think about it.
I don't know if I can shoulder that burden with you all.
Well, I appreciate you being here for me during this difficult time in this economy. So we've all gathered there.
Speaking of economy.
Oh, that was an accidental segue.
Patchworks' GoFundMe
Oh, shit.
is up to a raging $32,000.
So obviously that's nowhere near what they need.
I mean, it's a little short. They're only about 210,000 short of their goal, but they're getting there.
I can't believe they've gotten that much.
That's actually surprising.
It's
way
only,
higher.
It's only gone up by $3,000 since our last episode, which was what, months ago at this point. So yeah, it's not.
So we helped accelerate the train.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna make it.
No, probably not.
No.
I mean, I still get like weird like email blasts about their sales. Like it's almost like they're continuing like business as usual, but
sales for the nothing that they have in stock.
Yeah.
And haven't for months and months at this point.
Weird.
Yeah.
Probably getting close to calling it RIP, Patchworks, time of death.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't know what their plan is. I've kind of fallen off track with keeping up to date on what they plan on doing. I know they updated their GoFundMe a couple times and gave more information, and yeah, but I don't know. It's just they're dead to me, and that's all that matters.
Right, exactly. Conversely, Eric Woods of Man is the Bastard and Bastard Noise met and exceeded his GoFundMe for his hearing treatment.
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so that's to sort of the good with the bad.
Yeah,
and that was one that was actually awesome and worth contributing to.
Yeah, hopefully that does the trick.
Yeah,
because that's the more I read into that, I'm like, oh, this is a hearing issue I haven't even read into before. It's a unique one.
Yeah.
So shout out to him and dealing with that. Hope it's going well.
Christopher John of iParasite, and Android Lust, and Old School Wiggler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
met his goal. Him and his partner for their apartment complex, I should say, catching fire in New York.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. They've been through some shit.
Yeah. The community stepped up.
See, that's the awesome part of GoFundMe. Like, it's kind of a shame that we live in a society where things like getting your medical bills have to be paid through GoFundMe.
Yeah.
But at least it's there. I can, silver lining.
And it's awesome when for-profit corporations try to make more profit.
Yeah.
Nothing helps out capitalism like a dose of socialism.
Yep.
Goddamn commies.
I mean, Greg, isn't this normally around the time that you hype up the Discord and the Patreon and the benefits of being part of this burgeoning community?
Sounds like you just did my job for me.
Oh, shit, I stole your job.
Give this man a raise.
Let me get the background music going. Rap.
Yeah, we have a Patreon. we're getting some numbers. Cool things will happen if we get more numbers. So join. We're all chatting in there, having a good time. You're missing out. It's a party. Free beer koozies once we hit a certain number.
Yeah.
It's $5. You got $5. You're not doing anything with it. Put 5 on it.
Yep.
I got 5
Join the
on it.
dumpster. Yeah.
Help us make our numbers to help you make your numbers.
Those are rookie numbers. You got to get those numbers up.
Do have to get those numbers
I
up.
do, yeah.
Oh, shout out to Dan at Detroit Modular for hooking us up with a little bit of a discount for our Discord and Patreon users.
Yeah, I didn't want to steal your thunder. I was going to let you
Yeah,
talk about the new benefit if you join.
Forgot for a
our
second.
Patreon.
Realized. Yes, if you join our Patreon, you'll get a 10% discount for as long as we're doing all this thing with Detroit Modular. Again, shout out to Dan, who is like super psyched to work with us on that. As a store, I think we all have patronized a lot over the years, and is probably, I can safely say, our favorite place to order from.
Definitely.
At least definitely mine.
Yeah, same here. And I would have said it even before this arrangement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was just
I'm only saying this
being cool.
because now we have an affiliation with them. I'm a sellout. No, I love Detroit Modular. Fastest shipping.
Oh,
Fastest
yeah,
shipping,
yeah.
for sure. And they're building a new showroom, I think, that should be ready at some point. So we're going to try to take a trip out there.
I haven't been to Detroit in a very long time now.
It's been a minute for me, too.
There were years where we were there like 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
For
like
shows and
clockwork.
stuff. Yeah.
There were times where there were more shows there than here by
Yeah.
far. It's been 2 years for me, I think, since Movement from 2 years ago was the last time I was there.
Oh, mine's pre-pandemic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't gone to Movement in, God, probably over a decade now.
Yeah.
It's so expensive now.
Oh, yeah. The festival proper? Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't been to that in, geez,
Yeah.
2009 or something maybe,
Mhm.
or 10.
I mean, that was always the thing about Demph and Movement was everything else in the city aside from the festival. The festival was sometimes cool, but
yeah.
I saw some good stuff there. I saw like Passerini once and
Mhm.
Nights Are Out for the second time. That was exciting. But like for the most part, it was all this shit around the city. So
Right. Yeah, last time I was there at the festival proper was for Kraftwerk 3D, and that was fucking awesome. And they're actually playing in like Cleveland coming up, Kraftwerk.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like relatively soon.
I'd like to see them. I mean, Florian died, but the other
Yeah.
ones they're still around. But that's not going to be forever.
Right.
I'd like to check that off my list.
Yeah, I'm down for a Detroit road trip. Yeah, join our Patreon. Give us gas money.
Yeah.
Get our asses out to Detroit. We will do our due diligence.
Yeah.
Hit them with the hard questions. Ask how they're handling. Never mind. I'm not gonna
Oh,
say.
yeah. No, he's also like, nope, on the interview. That was a quick, like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not down. I was like, smart man.
That's yeah.
Mhm. He's like, no, that would just get me into trouble. I'm like, yeah, well,
Oh, yeah, it
welcome
would,
to
yeah.
our world.
Yeah.
Especially if we're the ones asking the questions. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that actually just proves once again what a smart business person this is.
Yeah.
Like they passed the test.
Yeah, you navigated this very well.
Yes.
That's a robust, sharpied list you have there.
Thank you.
With your pen and paper.
Always in pen and paper.
That's how he rolls.
Yeah, that. You're lucky it's not parchment and like made with like quill.
Lucky. I feel like we're unlucky that it's not parchment and quill, though.
Well, because I use
That'd
my
be pretty
parchment for
sick.
better things than this. Like this is.
Fair.
I'm just gonna throw this out afterwards.
Fair.
Parchment is when you want it to last.
Right. Like notarized documents
And
stuff.
spells.
No.
Yeah. A lot of bullet points, but really it's only 2 things.
What?
Yeah.
It's a lot of text for 2 things. I'm
Well,
excited.
My memory is really bad. So if I just wrote the 2 things down, I'd forget what I wanted to say about them. So this is a reminder to. How about you? How long is your list?
I got a couple things.
I have a couple things. I had one off-topic thing.
Ooh.
I could toss out now.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Zone of Interest,
Oh,
the movie.
very controversial movie.
Oh.
I wanted to
Slept
bring
on
it up
this.
on here
Mhm.
because I thought the sound design was fantastic.
Who did it?
No clue. I should have looked that up.
Yeah.
But I just was amazed by it from start to finish. The use of sound in it. I feel like the movie is 75% sound. Like if you're not paying attention to the sound, you're missing kind of like the whole movie, in my opinion. And then the other 25%, of course, is the visual. But
so is it sound design in the sense of like soundtrack or the ambient sounds that are picked up in
Both.
the movie? Okay.
Both. I feel like the use of music when it's there was very interesting, and electronic, kind of foreboding. But for the most part, it was just background sound and noises. Like, short of the movie is it's about families that
German families
that lived outside of a concentration camp.
Okay.
And they're just kind of like going about their daily life. It's like a slice of life movie, but you're watching Nazis.
Wow.
And their wall like literally connects to the concentration camp. So like there's just ash coming down from, the ovens into their garden, and you're just constantly hearing the sounds of concentration camp activities in the background of the whole film. And like, they're just doing like mundane things like having tea and, eating breakfast, but you're hearing like screams in the background, like far away, or like, people issuing commands and people being shot, and it's like very strange. It's very subtle, and it was like really well done.
It sounds really heavy.
Yeah, it was very heavy.
It sounds very heavy.
It was a heavy movie for sure. But I have never seen anything dealing with like Nazis like this, like done in this manner, like kind of from their perspective and just their daily lives.
Yeah.
Like you never see the atrocities. You know what I mean? It's just all kind of like suggested, or you kind of hear them in the distance.
And you also know that it's happening as you're watching these people live their lives and doing nothing to stop it, and basically just like going along, almost like the banality of evil.
Exactly. Yeah. It was. I highly recommend the film, but yeah, I just wanted to bring it up here for the context of sound.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely something I want to watch, but knowing the subject matter, and I need to be prepared, because I feel like that's going to be
you need to be in the right
incredibly
frame
fucking
of mind.
upsetting.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, not to get so heavy at the start of the episode, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
When we were in Berlin a couple years ago, there was an art exhibit detailing the sort of like the rise of the Nazis, and what it was trying to emphasize was it was slow. It was very like, and probably a lot of parallels with like America, USA right now, in a frightening way. But it wasn't like the Nazis just rose out of the blue and everyone applauded it. It was slow years, and people kind of letting a couple things slide and making some mental gymnastics in order to like, allow for this, these things to start happening, and kind of like rationalizing them in these ways that are like horrible. It wasn't a lot of people that are just evil and supported evil. It was just like people that were afraid in different situations, and just sort of just kept sliding and sliding and sliding. And
yeah, I don't want to spoil it or anything, but it's definitely like a slow burn, as this family just gets deeper and deeper, being indoctrinated into, full-blown Nazism and rising up the ranks and just committing more and more atrocities more casually. Like there's this one scene where they're just discussing like a more efficient way of burning bodies. It's like, it looks like your average like technical meeting. You know what I mean?
Which sounds like it may also be a metaphor for that, because there's really banal and like kind of just run-of-the-mill conversations about all kinds of evil shit we do all the time.
Yeah.
It's really just an employee impressing their coworkers and their boss. It's the actual meat of what they're discussing can be horrific, but in the moment, it's somebody, this is my job and I'm going to do my job better. It's like, don't stop and ask
Yeah.
Maybe what you're doing is horrible.
Because a lot of these things are about being used to like where the level of the bar is, if you will, and where you are in comparison to that. All these things happen with slow changes over time.
Yeah, a lot of it looked like it wasn't even considering what they were engineering this for. It was just a matter of like, okay, we need to be better engineers here, come up with efficient solutions to a problem, and not taking into account that like, yeah, these are people that you're engineering this for, things like that. It was interesting.
Wow, so yeah, you came out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, sorry, maybe I should have held that to the end.
No, it's too late. It's too late now. The tone has been set. Do you have anything? Do you have anything else? Do you have anything to follow that up with that could bring us even further down?
Oh, talk about this module for a little.
So what else is on your list, Greg? Do you have any?
I'm done talking for now. Someone else can take the reins. I feel like I just brought the party down, as I do.
I'm just sobbing in
Leave
the
it to
corner.
you guys to bring it back up.
No, because I have actually heard of the audio aspect of that film, even though it took me for a second to remember what the like film was about. Somebody else had mentioned like, no, this film is mostly about the sonic like things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something I want to see from that aspect for sure. Speaking of sound shit.
We're way down. We're way down. We're low right now. So it's up to you. We're putting it on your shoulders. Bring us back.
Let me take you somewhere weird. Let's
There
go
we go.
somewhere fucking weird that most people might not expect, but it'd bring you to a weird, dark room called the Makenoise corner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Electron corner. I don't know when we'll go back there ever again, but Makenoise corner. Yeah. So
All
I've
right.
had some
Wait. Do we need a theme song?
Oh yeah.
Theme song for this?
Yeah, we definitely. It has to be like a maths doing something stupid.
Okay, we'll put that in right.
Bouncing ball bat. There we go.
There, that was the sample I just triggered with the maths. Started off this stupid, perilous, waste of time called modular synthesizers with Makenoise maths number 188 and a QMMG like fucking 14 years ago at this point, or maybe more than that. So yeah, I was like indoctrinated into the way of the maths. I was like, oh shit, this is the surge shit that I can finally afford in theory. Got that, like started off that way. Kind of didn't go down that path too far. Got distracted by digital things very happily. But ended up finding out through my friend Luke that like this sound hack Makenoise shit is particularly super fucking interesting to me. I know we've talked about Spectrophone before. You gave your review of that. I did get a Spectrophone along the way, even though it's not the focus of what I want to talk about today, which is kind of the Morphagene, which is something that has kind of been blowing my fucking mind a bit.
So before we get too much further down, can we give an overview to the listeners as to what it does?
Oh, Morphagene.
Yes.
Good question. So it's kind of the looper and granular thing that I've been looking for a long time. I was always put off by the Morphagene because it looked complicated as fuck to me. Anytime, like we were saying a little earlier, like color schemes and things like that.
Button
combos. It does have 8 button combos that you need to get at least somewhat familiar with, and there are cheat sheets about it. But it was intimidating to me at first. My friend Luke was going to try it, and I was like, good luck. You'll be able to figure this out because you have more tolerance for this. I'm like, this seems nuts to me. And the more he and I talked about like sharing reels, which is kind of how sound is stored on reels on there. I think you get like 24 or 32 reels per like loading from the SD card onto it, like active at any one time is a better way to say it. So the colors are really about like which reel you're on, which splice of that reel you're on, or where you're at in relation to the loop you've recorded musically. Like if you're at the exact halfway point, it'll be a certain color. I forget the color right now. If you're at the exact point that you recorded the loop at, so playing back as you put it in there, it's green. Which actually brings me to one of my like complaints, if you will, about the module was I wish there was just a button to get to the green mode like automatically. Instead, you have to kind of like tune it in with the middle varispeed knob, which is how you control like the speed of the loop. At noon, it's like dead stopped. To the right is forward and to the left is backwards. As I've talked about on this before, I've gone through a number of things looking for like the looper that suited what I was trying to do. And this was actually, it loops perfectly. It doesn't click. There are nice controls to do granular things to the loop and to get the loop sections to overlap a little bit, the grains, if you will. gene size is just the size of the grain. And there's a slide, which is actually just pushing the grain forward and back on the timeline of that wave that you have. So it's a relatively straightforward, like granular processor. Even though it doesn't have like diffusion or any of the other controls you might find on like cornflakes or something else. So it's kind of limited. And I like it a lot as a looper. What I really have found that I like is when I've been working relatively beatlessly, not even sequencing necessarily. A little bit I'll sequence, but I'm just trying to make reels when I sit down to record a session right now, which is super productive and fun for me because you end up building this library of like reels. They're generally kind of related because you're probably working on something similar to what you were doing the last time, maybe. And it just works for my brain building up this set to the point where I actually have Morphagene number 2 on the way. And I got the IntelliGel 1U crossfader, which is pretty sick. Stereo crossfader. So it's almost like this like weird ambient kind of DJ setup right now that I'm planning on using for this live set coming up in a month, less than a month.
So is your plan to have the same SD card sort of copied between the two or something a little bit different between them?
Good question. A little different. They should be unique sets. Some of them will complement each other. I'm hoping to use like the colors of the reels to like match up, like, okay, yellow goes together or like light purple kind of goes together as an organizational method. But that's almost like the playback mode of the system that I have. There's still a recording mode where these two things are just like good at fucking up sound. I really like the way it pitches stuff up and down. It's got 32-bit internal processing and it's like 2496 maximum, I think, for a looper. No, 2448 is the format you've got to get it in. So I've been enjoying the assimilator just as a way to take samples from my computer and then feed it into the Morphagene and then just like loop it through there. You can send it a clock. It'll take like a beat synced loop very nicely, actually, way better than a lot of hardware gear that you can buy. So whoever, like, it's probably like 2 engineers at Makenoise that made this thing with Tom Erb. That dude's a fucking genius though. Like, sign me up for whatever the fuck sound hack stuff comes out from Makenoise, especially with that new Spectrophone platform that they have. Cause, I don't know. I've just been loving, the way it kind of lets me zero in on these loops and like extract portions and like resample it. It works like really nicely for poking parts of sound into an existing loop because you have like a wet dry at the top, which is, you can make another splice and you can just have it on the existing reel that's playing back because you can record and play back kind of separately. So you can record at the same time as you're playing back.
So you could resample?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a really nice, for something I was so intimidated by and I didn't know like, oh, I could never make this work. It immediately became like, no, this is how I love to like work with my modular. It just works for my brain right now for some reason. I like the different colors for the musical relations of the loops. It's just a quick way to get two things at like pitches that kind of work wellish together.
And so when, like with the pitch control, is it like tracking a volt per octave or?
Not really.
Okay.
No, I don't think it has a volt per octave input. I can't remember, but I definitely don't use it in that way.
Right. And you don't feel compelled that you have to. You're getting cool sounds without it.
If anything, I could see doing like pitches on slices, and because you can kind of the best way to deal with splices on there is to use Reaper actually, and to drop markers into Reaper and then export the audio in this certain type of way. Yeah. You can put a loop in there, then it'll just be like sample accurate where you want the splices to be. So I like creating some musical structure with these splices within a reel and taking like a longer loop and then like incrementing that, which is like, again, a really nice way for me to think of like working through an arrangement live, if you will. Not even arrangement's an overloaded term. It's more just like this thing's going to change in a way that I wanted it to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can still like pitch stuff down in a musically useful way and go like way off script. And then have this other in theory loop that I'm able to mangle, but they're still kind of related at the core of them. And that's just been like so fun. I've been not even using synthesis really and just like fucking with samples for the most part.
And you mentioned that Luke, who we've brought up, he's like basically a recurring character on our podcast now. How is he using it?
Good question. I think kind of similarly, enjoying just being able to take like beat synced loops and have them play back, and also just recording like arbitrary stuff and mangling it in there. Because the granular controls are fun It's a really nice sound quality. I would say maybe not as sharp as like cornflakes can be, but definitely not as dull as like clouds. It's right up there with like Beats level, kind of. Very clear. I know some people I know had complained that it sounded like shit before, but then they apparently did a firmware upgrade that redid some of the sound engine and made it sound better. So I'm pretty on board with it. I really hope that they take the Spectrophone platform and do a Morphagene 2 that has like even lower latency, more I/O. Like that button I mentioned to play back to normal speed. I could see like buttons for some of those things that are like loading reels kind of sucks the way it is, because it's one thing to remember the colors of the splices, but then remembering the real colors too. It'd be nice if there was just like let me pick a number. Not even a screen. Like, I think Makenoise is firmly anti-screen for the most part. But some level of like 8-segment LED or something that lets me like,
or even just like a bar, and it's like
fine.
Is the SD card hot swappable?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And there are techniques like if you don't want to write over your existing reel, you can load the SD card and then take it out and do your work or whatever, and it won't, because otherwise it'll automatically overwrite what's on there.
Yeah.
It's got onboard memory, so you're doing all your work in there. You get like 2 minutes and 30 seconds per reel, and you get 24 reels or something like that. And so that's your working memory, basically.
That sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, I
slept
recommend
on it too.
the shit out of it, especially if you like taking loops of things. And you can take like a 2.5 minute loop. It's up to you to work with the thing how you want to. But I fucking love it. It's just a lot of fun for me too. It's like it brings me back to when I was starting to work with samples when I was like a teenager, because that was just what you had was like a SoundForge or Cool Edit or whatever, and like would pitch stuff down. I would do that all day.
I would also put Gold Wave up there.
Yeah, Gold Wave.
Acid.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep. The first version of Rebirth is right up there too. So yeah, Morphagene. Slept on that shit for years. It's not a new module. 2017 it came out.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
My cousin Cyrus has been diving deeply into Morphagene as well. He got one a few months back, and he's had a lot of good things to say about it lately. Similar to what you were saying, like he's very into it for recording long ambient takes of things.
It's so good for that.
Or doing generative stuff and then recording that, and now you have some control over a generative sample of whatever it may be. He'll record chunks of like his helical into there and
nice
things like that. Yeah, sounds neat. I've been interested to dip back into it. I bought one when it was first released.
Oh no shit.
Like I had it on pre-order.
Yeah.
So I was like super excited about it, but I bought it with the intent of it being like a granular mangler.
You're right.
I just wanted something I was still very much into like Time Safari at that time,
right.
and I thought this would be like Time Safari on steroids, but it kind of was, but it seems more, it seems like it's meant to be used the way you and Luke and Cyrus are implementing it, and I wasn't thinking like that at the time. So I was kind of disappointed with it because it was a pain in the ass to put, all my loop points where I wanted. I was trying to do it all on board. I was trying to slice things up so I could get like hyper granular breakcore style with certain percussion recordings that I was doing. And I was also trying to use it as a drum machine. Like instead of like, I was just loading it with percussive hits and trying to like, CV it into like a weird drum machine.
Yeah.
And it can, but it's definitely not easy, and it's not the point of it. So I ended up parting ways with it after a couple weeks, but yeah, I'm kind of considering returning to it now in the regard of like a looper.
Yeah, as a looper, it's super fun. Everything's CV controlled. Will say that I love that Makenoise puts attenuverters on every CV input. I forgot how nice that could be. Now I have like 4 other modules in a row, and I'm like, oh shit, this is awesome. Thank you. So yeah, a little bit of fanboyism for Makenoise, especially the sound hack shit. Tom Arab, that dude's a genius for sure. Spectrophone, I'll get into at a later date.
We have a whole corner now. So next time, do we have outro music yet for this? want to do a?
We could.
I mean, I would like beatbox. I was looking for you to do one now.
Typically, I don't like most Makenoise stuff, so I
Mhm.
can just be like the contrarian viewpoint to everything that you talk positively about.
Yeah.
I'll just shit all over and bitch about, and just be like, fuck maths.
Yeah, you'll make noise about make noise.
Yeah.
Oh, I will say I did get a black maths, as I told you at one point. I wanted the new features, and I was like, it was a little bit of OCD. My first maths is 188. This one is 33,177. And that explains
shit.
to you a little bit about the success of Makenoise when you do that math.
That's kind of wild.
The show I played, this was like, God, probably like 7 or 8 years ago. I mean, it was at the Artworks, and it was like one of the first time I played out with a modular. And this kid, like probably in their 20s, but again, I'm old. Like walked up and was looking at it and was like, "Oh, that's cool, that's cool." Is there maths? I'm like, no, I don't have a maths. I use, and I basically started to explain like I have these these function generators, and he's like, it's not really a modular unless you got a maths, and just walked away.
Wow.
And I was like,
Dead on,
well,
kid.
all right,
Dead on.
Can't
Told
argue
me.
with that.
yeah, fucking told me. It's routinely like listed as like one of the first things to get because it just does so much.
Yeah. You get a lot for your
Yeah.
buck, and they were ones that came out with like manuals with patches for your
Mhm.
like 20 different ways you could use the thing, which would be hard to stumble across on your own unless you're like pretty fucking clever.
Right.
The only good maths is the dead maths.
I will say, as a slope
Nice.
generator, get the Surge dual slope generator, like especially the new one. Like I would rather have that in a way, but whatever.
We don't have Surge Corner yet.
No, I don't think I'm ever going to kick that off either. If anything, I just sold some Surge stuff on the path to get here. So,
Oh,
yeah.
nice. So we're leaving Make Noise
Yep.
Corner, the newly minted
Mm-hmm.
Make Noise Corner. Greg, it sounds like you got like a tune in your head. Do you want to give it to us for the?
No. Yeah. I'll talk to you about filters, though. Who wants to talk about some filters?
Always and forever.
My top item on my list is a filter.
Yeah.
I never
Mine
want to
too.
not talk about filters.
I like talking about filters.
Greg, it sounds like you got some thoughts on filters.
Tell
Tell me all your thoughts on filters because I really want to hear them.
I'm on my way
Oh,
to tweak
that's gonna
them.
be stuck in my fucking head.
You're welcome.
Yeah, let's not talk about 90s alt rock. Let's keep it nice and depressing in here, Dave. Okay?
I find 90s
Yeah,
alt rock
let's
very
talk-
depressing.
let's
If I
talk
have to
about-
hear it, I'm depressed.
Let's talk about depressing music.
So it sounds like you got a filter ready to go there.
What you
Loaded
got?
up.
Yeah,
What you
so I've been slowly replacing all the filters in my rig with stereo filters. So I've been doing
Amen.
more and more with stereo stuff. I started that path a little over a year ago, I guess.
Yeah.
We were all talking.
You've been the
about it.
champion
Yeah,
of
yeah.
stereo and modular
You
for
have,
a while now.
for a minute.
Yeah.
It
couple years.
still blows my mind that there's not more of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To be honest. But now that I have a couple stereo oscillators, the need for stereo compatible effects and processing and all that has gotten even more important to me.
Mhm.
So yeah, it started out with getting the dual dagger back in there. Great stereo filter, super compact. We've talked about it plenty, I guess now, a couple times now. So I wanted an alternative because as much as I think dual dagger is good at being a stereo filter, it's also very clinical.
So clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
It's like
clean,
an
very
EQ
clinical
in a way.
Yeah, I usually keep it for like end of chain.
Yep,
You know,
same.
yeah, because it's very surgical, clinical, whatever you want to say. Very.
So you were
clean.
looking for some alt rock.
to
that rock.
Yes, yes.
Holy shit.
God damn it, Dave.
And
And so like I was digging through like what was available.
Because
these
I
days.
really got a sweeper.
Oh no.
Get the
All right.
here. I'm sorry.
No, that was good.
Wow.
That was good. Terrible.
Do you feel bad?
Yeah.
You should. Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. That was.
All right. So the rest of the episode, we're just gonna make filter-related puns that have some relation to '90s alt rock.
Yes.
We have
Until
to.
somebody cuts me off.
Right. Exactly.
Because your filter is cut off.
Oh, I didn't get it. That was too clever for me. Damn.
I feel like you need a timeout.
I do. I do need a timeout. I'm just gonna go in your garage and lay on the cold cement for a while, cool down. I'm like a heat sink that has gotten too hot.
And just be like down there just making pun after pun after pun, but getting it out of your system.
That's what I do at home.
Where were we?
Anyway,
Stereo filter.
Oh, stereo
Stereo
filters. Holy
filters.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't finding much when I was trying to find something to accommodate my dual dagger, something that had like some character. The choices were like very large ones that were expensive, like the Steady State Fate dipole, dipple, however you want to call it.
I think it's dipole.
Dipple.
Wouldn't it be die? Because like dies in two.
Dipple.
People say dipole.
Yeah.
I say dipple.
Like dimple without the M.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's fair. Absolutely.
Dipole.
Ole.
Jesus.
Resident, very nice. Or there was the Makenoise Q-Pause. I like it, but it's big.
It's
Yeah.
big. That's why I don't have one.
Yeah, it's big and it's expensive, and that's not what I wanted when it came to stereo filters.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, small ones that I was finding, there weren't many. There was like, well, even ones that were like medium size, there wasn't any. It was like either big or small. There was like mutable instruments blades, which is kind of unobtainable now.
Yeah.
Even the clones of them, when I was trying to find them, were hard to find.
Oh shit.
Or unobtainable and very expensive anyways. Or there's like little Ripples clones that have been made stereo.
Yeah, Afterlater has one like that, I think.
Yeah, Afterlater has one. I think it's called something to do with water. So yeah, the pickings were slim. And then I saw that Bubblesound had on their Instagram demos of a stereo version of the SEM20 ST.
Classic.
Yeah. Well, stereo versions of the SM20, I should say.
Right.
The
ST is where you're going with this.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was in beta at the time. So I messaged David over there and I was like, hey, I really liked the original SM20. It's like, how far along are you on this? And he said, close enough that I could, give you a discounted prototype if you're interested. And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to give it a spin.
Nice.
But then he found an issue with the circuitry, so he didn't send the prototype out to me. But he did get that ironed out, and then he just sent me one of the early ones. And
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I got it kind of early on. I think it's out and available now, but I've had one for like a couple months now that I've been playing with. And
Well, can you give our listeners a breakdown of its qualities? What is it? Like, what drew you to it?
the fact that I really liked the original, and now it's in stereo, and it's like half the size. It's really compact. I want to say 8 HP. I could be, or no, I'm sorry, it's 10 HP. Yeah, which is pretty good for a stereo filter. It has tons of ins and outs. Like it's got your low pass, high pass, band pass, notch also, and the notch, similar to the original, it's variable between like high pass, low pass type thing. It's got a very unique sound. It's based off of the MS-20 filter, which I'm a huge fan of, and somehow also mixed with the SEM.
Is it principally crunchy? Like how would you
I would
describe
not
it
describe
with
it as
word?
crunchy. I would describe it as creamy, warm, and capable of being overdriven very nicely.
Okay.
The original had a really nice gain knob on it. I pretty much kept it maxed out most of the time. I just really loved how it would overdrive.
Yeah.
It's not like, say, grit filter or anything where like when you start to push it, it gets crunchy and deteriorates. Instead, it's kind of the opposite. It becomes kind of fuller and warmer. It's a nice, like, warm saturation tone. It's hard to describe. I guess that probably comes a bit from the MS-20 side of things, because that has always, in my opinion, had nice overdriven qualities to it as well.
Right.
So yeah, like 12 o'clock is pretty much, I think, like unity gain on the gain knob. and you can keep cranking it pretty far, and it just gets very full sounding.
Do you have any control over like the stereo itself, like
You
it's spread
do.
or
The
okay.
cutoffs have separate CV control
Oh.
for left and right,
Nice.
Oh, that's
which I think
awesome.
is kind of genius.
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of fun with that. Yeah, so it's there's a lot going on there in 10 HP, I would say, for a filter. And it's pretty much the complete opposite of like Dual Dagger. You know, it's got a lot of character to it, in my opinion. I mean, you can keep it clean. You don't need to overdrive it, and you can get kind of surgical with it that way. But I just don't want to. you know, with like this filter, like it sounds really good when you push it, in my opinion, and also push that resonance high. It just sounds very unique and has a lot of character to it. I think I mentioned last episode too. I can't remember why, but we talked about like the SEM 20 briefly, and like I always had that in my live rig for the Prometheus shows for like years. I just felt like it lent itself well to live performance too, because it can just get big sounding. You know?
And it does have that nice full sound.
It does, and now having a stereo version that is compact, I'm probably going to get a second one. I kind of want to have one after both of my helicals, just to help give helical a little extra character and control over the sound. So yeah, it's been a while since I've gotten a new filter that I felt was noteworthy, probably since Grit.
You
know. But yeah, slowly but surely phasing out all of my mono filters. I only have one left in there that's mono now. It's the System State 80?
The System 80, the Jove.
Yeah, the Jove filter.
Yes. Thank you.
Classic, yeah.
I wanted to say Jove, but I'm like, wait a minute, it's not Jove anymore. It's the
860.
860 Mark II. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I love that filter so much that I don't think I'll ever get rid of that. Even though most of my stuff is in stereo now.
No, I only that mono filter and the G Storm XA VCF. Everything else, like it's and Grit, but Grit's like kind of a different thing. It's more like a processor in a way. Even though I wish that were stereo.
Yeah. If they made a stereo Grit, it would be the bee's knees.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my filter contribution, Dave. What's your filter talk?
Yeah, what's your filter?
What do you got?
All right. I kind of was not avoiding filters, but I got a bunch of them, and I really like the ones that I have. And I kind of stay away from like nuts and bolts, bread and butter type of filters. I just don't get a lot out of them. I'm probably routinely more interested in interesting sounding filters than I am oscillators for the most part. I mean, that's obviously I got the Mind Phaser recently.
Yeah, I know what you mean though.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a dull, unexciting oscillator waveform and turn it into something amazing with a good filter.
Right.
I follow Winterbloom, on their social media because they are an awesome company. It's two women. One of them is like part of like the Python community and obviously just a genius.
Yeah.
The other woman basically takes care of everything else about the company, and they just seem like amazing, awesome human beings. So I've always been interested in what they're doing, and up until now, there hadn't been really anything where I was like, I'm going to get that. But recently, they showed off the Neptune. It is a filter, and it's they worked with Decapod devices. So it's like a collaboration between them. It's a diode ladder filter. I will also say that I bought the kit, easiest build I've ever had.
Oh, cool.
Like I put on a Premier League soccer match. I was done building it by the halftime.
Wow.
So it was less than 45 minutes to do it because all of the SMD is on there. It's just knobs and jacks. So one of the first interesting thing you notice is that it's a single out, but there's low pass and high pass are individual inputs. So they have separate inputs for low pass and high pass, and one frequency knob and one resonance knob.
Huh.
Yeah, they're both of the inputs. The filter, if you put it into the LP input, it'll be processed as low pass. Same with the high pass, but the frequency is controlled by just the one knob.
Right.
So one thing you can do is you can use it as a spectral mixer.
Mm-hmm.
You can put, if you put different things going into them, you can also put the same signal into them and get different effects. And there's one resonance control. About 1 o'clock, it will start self-oscillating. And one of the FM inputs will track 1 volt per octave, so you can
shit.
basically play the self oscillation as an oscillator. There's also built-in VCA, but the big gimmick, it's a technique that the designer learned. They're part of the DivKids Patreon, and one of the videos he posted was with the Jove filter, taking the output and putting that back into the frequency control.
Yeah.
You got to attenuate the shit out of it, because even just a little bit of this causes this massive effect. He added sort of a full wave rectifier on it and a little bit of circuitry to keep it from getting like out of control. But yeah, it's called the SALT parameter, and it also has CV inputs into it. So you can control that with CV, how much of this salt you get into it.
Salty.
Yes. It's amazing. I absolutely fucking love this filter.
Oh shit. Okay.
Even though I just complained about having bread and butter filters, it can be used for that.
Mm-hmm.
But crank up the resonance, crank up the salt, do weird shit with like what you put into the two inputs and how you mix between them. You can get bonkers ass sounds. So it's an incredibly versatile, like high characteristic filter. I give it 9.5 out of 10 stars.
Damn. Okay.
My only complaint, and this is not really even a complaint, I feel like they wasted a little bit of the panel space. It's like a 12 HP, I think. Probably could have got it down to 10.
Right.
Like that's really the only complaint that I have. Everything else about it is fantastic. Highly recommended.
Would you say, what do you think the resonance is like when it gets, is it like screamy or is it?
It's acidy.
Liquidy? Oh, okay.
And then it gets screamy.
Huh.
When you really crank it up, it gets a little out of control. Good job, Winterbloom and Decapod devices.
Tight.
We'll continue.
Neptune, huh?
Neptune. So Nick,
well,
what's on your list?
I'll go filter for filter with you motherfuckers.
Oh shit! I didn't know you had a filter too. Oh yeah, you did have one to talk about.
Stereo filter. Similar hunt to you, similar situation. I was at the point where I was like, do I get like 2 more dual daggers and build 2 more kits? And I was like, no, it's good at what it does. It's good at like this high pass, low pass DJ kind of thing or transition thing. It's very clean. But I wanted something different and was also like very limited in space. The QPAS was something that still interests me, and I would like one eventually, but I have no room for that, especially not in this current rig at all. And there's no way to expand to make more room. So I came across the Xaoc Chaos Zagrzeb. I don't know if it's Zagrzeb or Zagrzeb.
Zagnut. Pronounced Zagnut.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Zagnut
delicious.
filter.
Chaos
Stereo
devices
filter.
Xaoc.
Yeah. Zagrzeb. Smaller one. It's 8 or 10 HP. Big knob at the bottom.
Or Zagrzeb. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joey did a good review of it. That was one of the things that tipped me over the edge, because even he was like, this thing is kind of like nice in a way. Like the resonance doesn't self-oscillate, which I like in this context. This is a lot for filtering samples or richer, fuller mixes, if you will, for me. And like, especially in the situation where I have 2 Morphagenes, I was like, okay, I want 2 filters to be able to filter these things just as a matter of like, it's what I do. I love the sound of it. It's also resonance compensated, so it doesn't lose a bunch of volume. Waldorf M, again, probably one of my favorite synths, definitely one of my favorite synths ever, but the filter resonance, it loses so much volume. It's that new SSI chip, and it's good in some ways, but I've realized that I love running the M through the Zagrzeb, and it sounds a lot juicier in that way, a lot juicier for how the filter behaves. You get stereo low pass, band pass, and high pass out on separate outputs, and you get a 3-position switch for the band pass where you can get 3 different flavors of band pass, which is awesome. I think the band pass and the high pass sound amazing. Low pass sounds really good too. It's nothing like too crazy. Does the trick. And it also has a spread control on the CV, which will like shift the phase of how the 2 filters move in opposite of each other.
Ooh.
So it gives you nice like panning. I've had this sound stuck in my head for a while since the trip to Asia, and it let me like replicate that like really quickly. I was like, oh, that's the sound. I was kind of doing it with LFOs on the Waldorf before, but it didn't like quite it was like technically I got the sound, but it wasn't what I wanted to hear. And this
Mhm.
one like nailed it. I like the dual dagger, but I would almost in some ways prefer to have a system full of these Zagrzebs because I think there's a lot more flavor while it can still like cut very clinically if you want it to.
Mhm.
A little more round, whereas the dual dagger is very sharp. It just feels like an EQ more to me.
Yep. We need to have a Zagrzeb SEM 20 ST shootout.
Yeah, I'm into
A
it.
duel.
Because I do miss my OG SEM 20 like you. Like I'd had that thing for a while. And then I got the dual they came out with. And I thought that kind of sucked for some reason because there was like more noise. I mean, it wasn't like true stereo.
Mhm.
It was just like two filters.
Yeah, and it was big too.
Yeah, it
I,
was
I
very
didn't end up
big.
getting that one, even though I was into the idea of having a stereo SEM 20.
Yeah.
And
No,
so I was
same.
so happy that he didn't like abandon that concept
Mhm.
and followed through with. Now we have this.
Yeah, because I
years
sold
later,
my
but-
original to get the dual and then
Yeah.
kind of regretted it. I was like, oh, I kind of wish I just had the first one. But Zagrzeb stepped up to the plate. Super nice use. It's just one big frequency filter knob at the bottom. There's a slider for resonance, and then you get two like FM inputs at the bottom. One of them is bipolar. So it's like really kind of what you want in a filter. I'm really impressed with it. They do a good job with their analog shit for sure. So yeah, so my stereo filter.
Stereo filters. 2024 year of stereo. Does it sound like a Moog?
Did you read much of that Muff's thread about Moog? It's interesting.
not.
I mean, it seems like they made some bad decisions on like how their factory was structured and how they were
Mhm.
making and storing things, and that
Mhm.
kind of got them down a road where it's like, oh shit, we can't make money off this, and so they were acquired. and
Got them down Patchworks Alley.
They're moving them out of their. They're moving out of their like somewhat iconic building in Asheville to like a space that makes more sense for the business. So
Yeah.
it seems like the ship wasn't being run super well. Maybe.
But it's still all of the employees from the Asheville factory are out of a job.
yeah.
I
Which
mean,
is,
that's a real bummer. There's
that
probably a lot of
is.
institutional knowledge also leaving with
Mhm.
that, which is, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, it is. It sucks. I know at least one person that used to work there. So
But I mean, does it seem like this is going to be the path to recovery? Like, is it?
they introed that new Moog synth during the Super Bowl or whatever.
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, I don't think they did a reveal after. I think they because Andrew Huang had like a teaser for it on the same day, like the day before it came out on the Super Bowl, and somebody was playing with this new Moog.
Right, but that was like
And
over
they-
a month ago.
Yeah, it was, and I didn't hear
Yeah.
anything after that because most of us we don't give a shit about Moog
I
stuff.
was gonna say I've never really cared much about Moog,
Yeah.
and after all this shit, I care even less. I don't really want to support their business at this point. I
Mm.
feel like they're just trampling poor Bob Moog's name at this point.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it until now. I was like, oh yeah, that thing happened.
And I fixed my friend's mother 32. I was so bored with it.
Oh yeah, that one
It even has that big patch bay. I'm like, ooh, I can maybe make this sound cool. No amount of modulation made that anything other than a very boring synth.
Yeah, I don't want any of the things where they're trying to make like a cheaper version of a mini Moog.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I would think that like you kind of want the real deal if you want it.
I was very underwhelmed with the DFAM.
Mm.
Yeah.
I wanted to like it because I like drum machines, but yeah, I just
There's like no reset on that thing or something too. Like there's a special ornament in Crime firmware just to deal with the sequencer on that, not having a reset.
that's wild.
Yeah, I didn't know this until Gabo told me because Gabo has one, and I was like, oh,
So maybe this acquisition will result in things like sensible drum machines and synthesizers that aren't just the 60s with a slight twist.
yeah. Because if you want it, like, it's sad in one hand because it's like this American company that makes synthesizers that went
Yeah.
under that employed a bunch of people. That fucking
That does
sucks
suck,
to see
yeah.
it not work. But on the other hand, yeah, it's not that simple.
Well, thanks for bringing us back down, Nick.
Thanks.
Jesus
I had
Christ.
to.
Were we really even that up?
Nah.
Oh no, we were talking about filters. Yeah,
Filters,
we were
yeah,
we were all fired
we
up
were
for
on the
that.
upswing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all downhill from the filters.
I was like half naked. I was ready to party, and now I'm like slowly putting my clothes back on. Like, I guess we're not partying anymore.
Mogladdered ya. Boom.
Well, now that we're sad again, Greg, what's next on your list?
I'm going to add a little Cizzle to the conversation.
I see what you did.
The ALM Busy Circuits Cizzle. Dave, see what I did there?
Dave's not impressed.
Cizzle.
Dave hates this.
See you Saturday down at the Sizzler, Dave.
Wow, this is getting worse. So I'm depressed. Like, this has really dragged me down. But I guess go on.
So yeah, Busy Circuits released a little module called Cizzle. It's a dual oscillator, digital dual oscillator, inspired by the classic Casio CZs. Hence the Cizzle, because of CZ.
I'm going to have to filter this part of this. There's so much high end with all these Z's. I apologize to our listeners.
Sizzling.
God, this is like the opposite of ASMR.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a cool little oscillator.
Mhm.
And the thing that really made me happy was that they released it physically and virtually.
That's fucking
in
awesome.
VCV rack on
Yeah.
the same day.
Yep.
So you could order your physical one, and you could have a digital, virtual version, I should say, of it for.
Did you get the physical?
$30?
Did you get the physical or the digital?
I did not yet, but I'm
Okay.
probably going to, because I'm really enjoying the VCV rack iteration of it.
Gotcha.
So I think I kind of want a physical one as well.
Yeah, seems pretty rad.
It's neat. It has like a lot of CV control over like
Mm-hmm.
the different modes. I didn't dive into it too much, so I don't have like extensive notes on it, but
Mhm.
it has like a chord mode. You can CV through the different chords. You can CV the different modes. It goes through like a resonant mode or a ring mod mode. The second oscillator can be set to like hard track,
Mhm.
oscillator A. Shit, what else? There's like different algorithms that you can CV through as well.
What is it? What are those algorithms giving you?
No clue.
Oh, okay.
Didn't it do that thing where it like didn't have a filter, but it like simulated having one? Because it didn't braids like kind of emulate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's what the res mode is trying to do. So yeah, it doesn't have an onboard filter or anything, but yeah, in the resonant mode, it kind of pretends that it does. And yeah, it's very similar to that braids mode, which I liked a lot when I had braids as well.
So what are you using it for now?
I'm trying to use it for percussion, which is a little tricky. I was doing little pads with it. It was neat, like little ambient sequences with it. And then I had the big brain idea to try to turn it into drum. Not having super luck with that. But I've been making like
Not, like,
interesting
tight
little
enough.
percussion with it, but yeah, not crazy kicks or anything. No,
Right.
you know what I mean? But it is neat. I just wanted to bring it up. But yeah, I have no idea what the different algorithms are. It says 9 morphing phase distortion algorithms.
Okay.
That's the extent of my knowledge of it. That's all it said in the little info that they released with it. So yeah, I didn't dig too deep into it. I've just been playing it by ear. I like what I'm hearing with it. But
Nice.
yeah, it's sizzly, sipping on scissor with the sizzle.
So Nick, what else do you have on your list?
I'll say nobody out there is putting out a module or an update every month like Alm is.
Yeah.
Like that shit's crazy. It's like every month they put out either.
Yeah, they're kind of
firmware
rapid
update.
firing things out right now. Yeah.
So much. Yeah. It's
They make
crazy
good stuff.
pace.
I mean,
So
they're
good.
kind of like under the radar, like not under the radar, but like they made some heavy hitters.
Yeah. Some really good shit. And
Yeah.
the prices are usually really on point.
Yeah. And
So.
build quality is usually good. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah. They hit a sweet spot, I think, overall.
You can't forget about Pam's new professional pro new advanced workout.
Pam's principal engineer lunch break. It's just a Furby. You kind of slowly pet it to generate CV. That's what I got on my list.
wait, that was on your list.
Pam's Furby workout. What else do I have on my list? Oh yeah, I don't know if I talked about this one before on the stereo theme. AI matrix mixer stereo version.
No, I don't.
I got that as a DIY kit. So I had the mono AI synthesis, like mono matrix mixer, which has kind of a weird layout that they fixed on the stereo one. It makes more sense.
Is it physical plugs or is it like a matrix of dots? Like
matrix
how do you...
of knobs.
Okay.
So it's, like the Erica one, which actually I was looking at again recently. Like, oh, now that I'm in stereo, I would have had more use for it. Even though it's still like, I don't think you can chain them to be true stereo, can you? Where one value will affect another one?
Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
God damn it. Anyway. AI stereo matrix mixer is fucking incredible. I like that thing. It was a really nice build that was pretty easy to put together. It's more tedious than anything else.
Is it a module or is it standalone?
Module. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah. It's a module. It's like 24 HP or something, or maybe 20. It's like kind of big. Grid of knobs, but it's been so useful in this project and this stereo setup I'm working on to like feed these samplers with various inputs in a way that makes sense. Because now I can just be like, you go to the Morphagene now, like assimilator output, or send you to like some other chain along the way. So it's been indispensable for like organizing, doing work lately. So yeah, that's a really good. There's nothing quite like it from a stereo standpoint that's in rack.
Yeah.
Would really love it if they had a version that had CV control over each point. I know that's asking for a lot and that would be a bigger module, but that's like what my brain goes to immediately. Fuck yeah, I forgot the Erica one. Because I could buy, like the matrix mixers kind of went down used. I could buy one for less than what I sold it for before. So that might be, now that I'm more on that line of like, having presets for like matrix positions, that's way more interesting to me now than it was a year ago.
Also, the thing that like I feel like they just don't emphasize enough with that Erica one is you can change those presets on the fly with MIDI.
Right.
And having those scenes just being like tempo synced and like you just completely switch the entire matrix on a beat is so fucking useful. Like I think they didn't emphasize that enough because I feel like that's where it shines as a sort of over some of the other matrix mixers.
Yeah. No, I could actually see getting another one to use in tandem with this just because to be able to do stuff in stereo and have like 16 of those, that's pretty fucking awesome. And the level of control. Yeah. So
I'm glad there's multiple matrix mixers going on out there. It was there's only a handful of them for a while. There was like that WMD had one.
Yeah, the
Switch
Matrix. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of them for a really long time.
Because it's one of those things, like it can fuck with my head sometimes. I have a good way of working with it now, so it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm just routing all these outputs or doing a little bit of feedback processing. I think before I was trying to conjure so much like techno out of a modular system that the Erica felt like, oh God, that's a whole other world. Now I'm more like just doing crazy sound design, and it makes a lot more sense for me to have something like that again.
Yeah, I think it takes the handful of modulation sources you have and their destinations, and just you can morph and basically sort of like orchestrate them over time instead of like, oh shit, this LFO is patched to this and it's static. It doesn't have to be like, like you're basically moving that in and out over time.
Yeah, just as you say that, I could think of like having a pattern on my Hapax that all it does is change a matrix mixer setting to go from one Morphagene to the other, or something like that. I'm like, oh shit, that's super useful. And that would be hard for me to program with the current matrix mixer. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that unless I had a switch, which I don't right now. Well, I have a crossfader I could use as a switch.
Oh yeah. That sounds awesome though. And how you said you got it as a kit?
Yeah, really nice kit. Except like, I don't know why I used like set screw knobs on like a kit where you have 16 knobs you've got to put next to each other. Yeah. It is fucking, you should see mine. It's like I did the best job I could. And also the knobs that came with it had like plastic like inset things. Exactly.
Oh,
like go for the brass ones. AI synthesis, dude. I ended up like taking some leftover brass ones I had and just using them on that because it was a mess. Like using a plastic screw to like tighten up against a fucking metal pot. Like it doesn't.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
face exactly.
Yeah.
That part sucked. Like I don't know why you just use the like regular ones you put on top.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's not cheaper. Maybe a penny cheaper. And plastics an environmental disaster. There's so little reason to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my one minor complaint about it.
It wouldn't be us if we couldn't find at least one thing
Yeah.
to complain about. So, yeah. But speaking about complaining,
Oh,
my last thing is all complaints.
Hell yeah.
It's not even something I've had.
Bring us back down,
We'll
Dave.
bring us back down. So I was only mildly interested in this because they had done such tiny little teasers for the last couple of months. But every time I saw it, I'm like, this could be fucking awesome. I'm talking about the Torso S4.
Oh, you want to go there?
I do want to go there because
All right.
Let me preface this. Let me get some exposition here. The Aura did a big 45-minute or 39, like almost an hour.
yeah.
It was the first big deep dive into it, and I love Aura. Like I started
his
following
shit's
them.
solid.
Yeah, I started following them a long time ago. Really interesting ambient music. Ooh, oh.
Not to interrupt, but I think that was the first time we've seen an actual production unit too, right?
Yeah, it was.
Like at
yeah.
all.
This was the first thing that wasn't like
Okay.
a 30-second teaser.
Right.
Like no,
Or a digital markup.
Yeah. This was
Okay.
the first. This was the big, honestly, the big reveal, and I think it was in good hands. I really do. I think Aura. I think he's a really interesting and talented musician. That
And your
said,
favorite synth tuber.
is he, oh,
Let
yeah.
me be clear. He's a fucking bootleg cuckoo if I've ever seen one in my fucking life. Let me just
Yeah,
Drop that.
No, you're absolutely right. But he's got like such a,
Bootleg Cuckoo.
but he's got like such a like a pleasing German voice. Like he just, yeah, I just want to like him more. He's got the beard and the bald head, and
yeah.
No, but you're right though.
No,
He's
better than cuckoo, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's bootleg Cuckoo. Wow. But yeah, this was the big reveal, and he tried his best. I was underwhelmed, and then the more I thought about it, the more angry I got.
Right?
First off, it's $900. Absolutely fucking insane for what this is.
Yeah.
It's a sampler with almost no features. There's an emphasis on granular processing,
Mhm.
offers absolutely nothing new. And half the shit doesn't even fucking work, like freeze. There's no freeze on it.
Mhm.
All the other granular controls, I'm like, yeah, no, there's 10 other things. Bringing nothing new to the granular space is a huge misstep, I think.
Agreed.
And a lot of the shit's just not implemented. Even though this was the big reveal, MIDI doesn't work. Flutter, freeze. He yeah, maybe I do have to backpedal on how much I like this guy, because he was very quickly throwing in, this isn't implemented yet, and then moving on. And I was like, and the fact that like after the video, I'm like, oh, there was a bunch of those that got thrown in there, so it's not even really done.
There's no Ben Jordan.
Yeah.
No, Ben Jordan.
He can't just, he doesn't smooth it over. Like Ben Jordan.
No. And
He just won't talk about the shit that's not there.
exactly.
Yeah.
At one point, I was like, this should just be the sample editor on another machine.
Right.
Like there's no reason for this to be a separate machine. And I was even like, why am I disappointed? I was like, well, there's still a lot of space to do things. Why didn't you give me the recycle in a box that I've been looking for all these years? It's literally, you load a sample and you can change the loop points. And
Yep.
I was like, I can do that on my Polyend tracker for $200, and I have a
Right.
tracker. Like, it was just offered so little.
It's like a teenage engineering version of the Bitbox or something like that.
Yes.
You know? Where it's
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, at least with teen engineering, they're doing the standard issue stuff, and they're not doing it remarkable, but they do it in a cutesy, interesting, graphically pleasing way. This just is a tiny, like, not a tiny screen, but like the bulk of the surface is a couple of knobs and a couple of buttons and a screen showing you a waveform.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I can't remember what the new Play costs, but I don't think it's $900. So this
Nope.
thing's even more expensive than the new Play Plus.
Yeah.
Right.
You forgot about the USB ins and outs that also don't exist
That don't
yet.
work. Yeah.
Oh.
There's supposed to be 10 channels of USB ins and outs.
That's never
but it
gonna
doesn't
work.
exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll never work. Like if Electron still can't do that,
Yep.
these guys aren't going to do it.
No, this is you.
So to even talk like that's in the near future, like that was one of the first things that he mentioned. And he was all excited, like, oh, there's going to be 10 ins and outs. That immediately kind of annoyed me. I was like, that ain't going to happen. And why are you talking about it if it doesn't exist yet?
Yeah.
Like,
We should throw a sound card project on top of this box here.
Yeah.
You know, that's easy.
right.
Yeah.
Because so many
No.
other companies have
So
done it
many other-
so successfully over the last 30 fucking years.
Fuck. Yeah. And there's like a tape delay, like a tape effect too. And I'm like,
It was very underwhelming.
it was not like, and an SP 404 can do that. And again, you have all the other features of an SP 404. Like,
Yeah.
why are you getting this overpriced box with limited features to do something?
Because at least it's cheaper than Teenage Engineering.
But I even like what they like. I have no beef with Teenage Engineering in ways. I wouldn't buy a lot of their shit, but that sampler was like cheap. And this, everything I saw on this seemed to focus on the graphics so much that I was like, oh, I don't care what it fucking looks like, kind of.
And there was like an overlay for the filter, and like like you could see, and he's like, look, you got the modulation. So he applied an LFO to the cutoff on a filter, and then you can watch it on the screen.
Yep.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, and
That was when I tuned out.
oh really?
Yeah, I didn't make it all the way through
Yeah.
the video. Once he did that, and I was like, really? That's what we're focusing on? I was like, okay, I'm out. I just tapped out, man.
I watched the whole thing, and by the end, I was just like, fuck. And then I had not seen how much it was when I watched the video. I was like, well, if this is like $200, not that there's, by the time I was done with the video, I'm like, I'm not getting this thing. This was a huge waste of my time, even watching this. But I'm like, if it's like $200, I can see somebody getting it. Like
Right.
this, someone can get something. When I saw it was $900, I was like, are you?
Yeah, I did the same thing too. Like when I tapped out, I reopened the page because I couldn't remember how much it was supposed to cost. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's supposed to be $1,000? I was like, I don't even know if I would consider it for half that.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
$400. I would definitely just get it at like literally.
A Play Plus.
Yeah.
or something.
There's
yeah.
a dozen things I'd rather get than
I
this.
used Octatrack.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
anything at that
I
point.
used Octatrack in a granular module, or like
Yeah.
there are other
Yeah.
combinations you could build that are way more interesting than what that looked like.
And cost less. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the YouTube comments blowing up, game
Oh,
changer, changing lives. This is the sampler I've been waiting my whole life for. Like, just like, I don't.
I'm curious what they're seeing that we aren't.
Same. I definitely had a thing of like,
Because there's
am I jaded or dumb?
Well, I think it's just experience too. I think
Yeah.
some people are newer to it and they're
Yeah.
like, this is going to do what I think. I'm like, no, you're not going to get what you're hoping for.
So that was a bum. That was a bummer because
Mhm.
I don't know what I was really expecting, but I really was like, there's got to be something new you can do in the sampler space, and maybe this company's going to do it, you
Right.
know. And I should have known the fact that it was such low, so little information on those little reveals that they were doing up until then. It's like,
That's always a big red flag.
Yeah,
We've been in the
definitely.
game long enough
Yeah.
that we know that is a big red flag. You know, it's like
Yeah.
when they didn't even reveal like an actual unit for weeks, it was still just digital mock-ups. I was like,
Right.
no.
But nothing like, what's the latency like on that sampler?
Yeah.
Oh, it's low. It's low latency. Like, yeah.
Trust
like,
it, it's
Yeah,
low.
yeah.
80 milliseconds low.
Yeah. If you don't come out the door with some details,
yeah,
Right.
some numbers,
Yeah.
some stats, then yeah, it's a rip right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
the fact that it got such a good response on YouTube doesn't really scream like they're being, you know, they're gonna have to go scramble to make this thing great. You know, the fact that it was like they got all this positive reviews, I'm sure they're like, I guess we nailed it. Fucking ship it.
Yeah.
What that means is they're going to sell a lot of them.
Mhm.
And then we'll be able to get them for $400
gonna
in
say
6 months on
500,
Reverb.
6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it goes open source, and then someone makes the thing that I thought it was going to be in the first place.
Hey.
Yeah. We may have to revisit this if I get it someday and then go, oh my God, it's a game changer. Absolutely changed my life.
Yeah. I mean, it would not be the first time.
It is part of our pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's actually the end of my list. Those are the only two things that I had. Anybody else have anything else?
I kind of don't.
What do you mean, like, kinda? You either do or you don't.
I had some things jotted, but not like. I wanted to bring up the Stylophone CPM DS2 analog drone synthesizer.
That face.
Yeah. Right?
Well, tell us what's going on.
You're
here.
familiar with Stylophone,
I
Brett,
am,
right?
yes.
Make the little cute little Stylophone thingies.
Yes.
Proud Stylophone owner.
Are you really?
Yeah,
I didn't know you
someone
had
got me one as a gift.
Really?
Yeah.
I had one. I think Nikki took it or something, or maybe she had one and I just played with it for a minute. But yeah, we did have one for a moment, and I've always wanted the I can't remember her name, the fake Japanese girl, the virtual reality singing girl. Their Stylophone made one with her. Like you push the.
Are you mistaking this for a dream that you had?
No.
The one that like the Vocaloid stuff? is based
Miku. Yes, the Vocaloid.
Okay. Yeah.
Miku. They have a little Stylophone with her. Like,
I don't know who Miku is.
oh come on, Dave.
I don't either, dude.
Okay. I was really starting to feel bad. Like, what? We're all talking about Miku. I don't know who this is. I'm quietly like Googling Miku. Like, oh god, no, this is I shouldn't have Googled this.
As I pull out my waifu pillow.
My life-size waifu pillow of Miku. But yeah, Stylophone has announced and they announced this, I think, at NAMM. So it's not like breaking news or anything, but a little drone box that has really piqued my interest because I enjoy your opinion of the
Elmira.
Yeah. And I played with one while I was in nightlife up in Vancouver, and it was neat, but I thought it was a little expensive, personally, and I thought there was a lot going on there that I wasn't going to use. So, like in the context of a live drone box, I wasn't totally sold on it. This thing, though, it's like super basic, but interesting at the same time, and it only costs $260.
Does it still have the Stylophone form factor, like the little slidey thing?
No.
Okay.
Huh.
So they're keeping the name. I guess that's the brand name then. Stylophone.
Right. I think they're branching out here with something like they've never done before. This is what it looks like for all our listeners at home. You can't really see it. It comes in a little box, or you can mount it in a modular, which I think is kind of.
So what are the knobs and controls? What are we looking at here?
Yeah. I jotted some stuff down. You get 2 dual analog oscillators, vintage reverb algorithms that are based off of the AL3201 Alesis reverb. So that's cool. So you got effects right out the gate on this thing. 8 different, reverb algorithms and 1 PT2399 delay effect also on top of that. It's semi-modular with 12 patch points, 14 analog LFO waveforms. Each oscillator also has an analog sub-oscillator.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah. It can take 6 AA batteries. It has a built-in speaker.
It's cute.
It is cute. I'm kind of really sold on it. And the best part of all, if you want to pre-order it, you don't need to put up any money. You just submit your email and you're in the pre-order list.
Oh, nice.
And they go in the order of received emails. So that's the type of pre-order that I can get into.
Right. Did you say it was a kit or is it completed?
No, it's completed.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing anything about a kit being possible. But it can be mounted in the modular. Cute little thing, right? Each oscillator has the filters. You got all your modulation. You got your destinations on the bottom right where you can send the whole left section is like the modulation engine. And you got random waveforms in there, a bunch of other ones.
This is minor, but there's even headphone outs.
Yeah, so you could do some feedback looping.
Mm-hmm.
There's an auxiliary in, so you can route through the effects. It's a lot for $260.
Like if you didn't tell me the price before you showed me this, I would have guessed at least $300 or $400. For
Same,
this. Yeah.
It's like, ever since my debacle with the Makenoise. Oh God, my brain's really not working today. what the hell is the thing that
Spectrophone?
No,
The Strega?
thank you,
Strega.
Yeah.
Strega.
Yeah.
Yeah, words are eluding me today.
Yeah,
Perfect day to do a podcast. Yeah, ever since my disappointing experience with the Strega, I've still have this like need to have a little drone box, and
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
trying to figure out what that would be if not the Strega since then. And then this thing was announced, and I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of exactly what I was looking for as far as like a little standalone semi-modular drone noise box goes, with some effects and filtering and shit. So
I mean, it's a useful instrument to have, especially for live set, and you want to come up with like transitions between songs, intro, outro, or just doing an ambient drone set.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and having something that's not the full breadth of a modular to get that, it's very appealing. Yeah, I think it sounds like that's going to get you there.
yeah, I put in my name for the pre-order list.
Yeah,
I mean, for $260, I'll take that gamble.
yeah,
you know. But yeah, Stylophone CPM DS2. I don't know what all those words mean, but I'm guessing DS means drone synthesizer.
Probably.
The 2 probably because it's 2 oscillators. Don't know what CPM is. What could that mean, Dave? What could that mean, Nick? I don't know. I'm at a loss. If anyone knows, let me know. Maybe I'm missing something obvious, but
and no stylus.
no stylus.
No,
Yeah.
it's very different from the Stylophone in that way.
Yeah, they're entering new territory, making
Mhm.
little drone boxes, and I'm all about it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that works out. So I've noticed too, as much as I was never super into them, those Pittsburgh modular, like East Beast and West Pest
Mhm.
things, you can get those for like under $200 now.
Yeah,
And that's like a decent
Yeah.
amount of synthesizer for the money for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with patch in and outs like that.
Oh, also the fact that it's battery powered if you want it to be.
Yeah,
that
That
is
opens
cool.
up room for circuit bending.
Yep,
Yeah.
it does.
for sure.
So I'm sure some people will do some interesting shit with this thing.
And also, once you yank that speaker out that you're never going to use, you got like a little place to mount your knobs and stuff for circuit bend.
True.
Good point. Add a little panel there.
Yeah,
A little
yeah.
patch bay.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah, didn't know that existed.
Me neither.
Yeah, I think it kind of slipped under the radar. I don't think anyone was really expecting that from them. And with all the other shit that was announced at NAMM and such, I think it was kind of like buried a bit. I'm really interested in hearing how these Alesis reverb algorithm sounds too, because those are kind of classic vintage
Yeah.
algorithms at this point. So
even if you end up just using external in through the effects, might be worth it just for that.
Yeah. Good
little reverb box, yeah.
So is that it for this episode? Anybody got anything else?
That's all I had.
Do we have plans for the 50th? Do we need to get like a little birthday party? Rent out
Little
Chuck E.
cake.
Cheese?
Okay, go ball pit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Little ball pit action.
Little cock and ball torture.
They took the ball pits out of Chuck E. Cheese.
Did they really?
You hear that?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. Was it like Legionnaire's disease or something?
Hopefully.
I just assumed that was like the grossest
Kids are
thing.
just suffocating
Yeah.
under these filthy, sweaty balls.
End of podcast.
Yeah, we're done. And we're done. That's a wrap.